one day's enough. Well, it's obviously a time of the year that we're all very excited about the opportunity to compete. Looking at tape of Sam Houston State, they're a very aggressive team, one that if you're not on your toes, they'll literally embarrass you. And they're a team that is obviously well coached.
Coach, with how much they bunt, is there going to be an emphasis on, working with the pitchers, getting off the mound and fielding bunts as well as, with the catchers?
We try to go over that twice a week. So we will continue to do that this week with an understanding that this team is going to bunt. And sometimes when we work on it, we just try to familiarize everybody on a weekly basis, wondering if anybody is going to bunt. Well, this team is one that we know is going to put pressure on the other team.
Levin, how weird is it seeing a team that bunts as much as they do? Because it seems like throughout baseball, bunting's kind of a lost art.
I think it's I know it is, the philosophy of Coach Deggs, the way he does things. He utilized this when he was at Louisiana Lafayette, and they had success with it. And obviously they spend a lot of time on it, and they can certainly, as I said, embarrass you. You make a couple of mistakes, whether you're rushing a throw or you're trying to do something that you shouldn't do, and all of a sudden they're first and third. So you have to be on your toes when you play this club. We know they're going to try to steal. We know they're going to hit and run. They'll slash occasionally. They're, like I said, a very aggressive team.
Most infielders, if it's two strikes, 2 outs, they're probably not thinking bunt, but with this team, you kind of have to.
You can't back up. If you do, now I'm not saying they're going to be successful, but they're not the least bit afraid to do it. And there's a lot of good, positive thoughts derived from this way to play. I mean, if a guy's hitting 300 and a guy backs up and he bunts for a base hit, for say he's got 4 at-bats and he's successful 2 of them, that's 500. So he really hadn't lost anything trying to bunt for a base hit 4 straight times. Hitting 300, his average is going to go up, and his team's going to be the better for it. So it's not exactly different. It's just that it takes special players to adopt that philosophy, and he's done a great job in getting his players on the same page.
Do you have an idea of an order maybe for the pitchers this weekend, or is that something that's still being worked out?
We're still working it out, but Holton's going to go the first game. So we'll go Holton and then TBA.
And then you look at Will Zier's out. He might not fit in that rotation since it's just the 3 games, but what is his role now after that game? I feel like he's kind of has to be used in some way.
We haven't even had a chance to talk about that. But certainly he's going to be figuring in on this.
When you think about just what you've seen from Drew Parrish here over the last month or so, what would you say you've seen in terms of growth that's been the most impressive thing that you've noticed?
Poise, composure. He pitches well beyond his years. just don't see an awful lot of freshmen that can go out there and compete and stay in control of his emotions. He's certainly a very important part of our team.
And I know he's an engineering major, so I mean, presumably he seems like a pretty bright kid. I mean, how would you assess the way he kind of picks things up? Because I imagine it's pretty quick.
I'll be honest with you, as freshmen, I don't normally keep up with what they're planning on majoring in. I didn't know he was an engineering major. I know that Z-Man is an engineering major. But I know the young man's very smart, articulate. I guess that just goes hand in hand with deciding to be an engineering major. Like I said, he's a good one to have on your team.
Looking at a guy like Stephen Wells, he's kind of over that weekend the unsung hero where he subbed in late in each of those games and had clutch hits in many of them. What's the reasoning behind kind of bringing him in there later in innings, and what's it meant to have him doing that off the bench?
Stephen's arm will prevent guys from making a decision. And when you have a right fielder that's your number one starter, you don't want him firing the ball right and left between innings. And when there's a play to be made at third, you have to be sure for him to let that ball go, that he is good and loose. And we just felt like that if we have an opportunity to get Stephen in the game after the 5th or 6th inning, we're going to do it because of what he brings to the plate.
And to see, not just, we've seen him in the field with the Notre Dame play, for instance, in the ACC tournament last week, but also to bring him with the bats from over the weekend. What's that meant?
Stephen has changed his approach. Meat has done a great job with him. And he seems to be seeing the ball real well. It's just one of those things that you can honestly say you didn't exactly see it coming, but couldn't have come at a better time.
Well, do you think that everything your team has been through to get to this point maybe makes it easier for them to stay focused and make sure that they give a team, like a big major team like Sam Houston State, the respect that they deserve?
No doubt. I honestly thought that Tennessee Tech was going to be the weak link in this past weekend. And they were a long way from being a weak link. There were 4 very good baseball teams in our regional, and we didn't take anybody lightly. You just, you know as a coach that those young men understand from the people that we played during the year. I don't think VCU got to a regional, but they beat us opening day. And I think that was a wake-up call. There's a lot of parity out there, a lot of parity.
Since both of these teams can appreciate what it means to kind of get hot at the right time, I think Sam Houston State finished 3rd in their conference, but then won their conference tournament, and Super Eagles, kind of a similar path to what you guys took. Do you think that it's just kind of a sign, that you said, of the parity in college baseball, as far as, you know, just sticking with it and getting it right at the end of the season?
Experience is a very important factor in determining your attitude. We have experienced some very humble times by good middle, what words did you use? Mid-major. We were humbled by a number of mid-majors, whether it was a late part of the game rally or winning a ball game late. We play in a very tough league with teams that might not be ranked as a North Carolina or a Clemson, but they're all capable of beating you, as evidenced when we went to Virginia Tech and lost 2 out of 3.